We'll begin our day. College World Series, Game 3, and it was a laugher. OU 13, North Carolina 2, Oklahoma, your national champs. Our first text message of the day was J84. OU had a losing SEC record. Talk about getting hot. Yes, exactly. The statement is many. The SEC has now won 7 straight. That's not the statement. It just confirms a fact that the SEC in baseball is so elite. You know, in that statistical, the SEC has won 7 straight national championships in college baseball. There's something else that needs to be said that makes that more impressive, which doesn't seem possible. What if I told you in that 7 straight stretch, the SEC has also been the runner-up in 4 of those 7 national championships? Now think about that for a second. With the OU national championship last night, the SEC has won 7 straight, and the SEC was the runner-up in 4 of those 7 straight national championships for the SEC. So in 4 of the 7, it was SEC versus SEC, as well as SEC champs. I think that adds even more to what is already beyond comprehension of an epic factoid. In 21, it was Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State national champs. In 22, Ole Miss, Oklahoma was the runner-up. In 23, LSU, Florida the runner-up, and we know 24 was Tennessee with A&M as the runner-up. That's beyond dominance. We need another tier, because to say dominant is understating this 7-year stretch. Now, what's funny? The forgetfulness of one's mind. And I went, wait a minute, 7 straight? Why is there no 2020 national champ? What happened? It took me 10 seconds, okay? COVID year. But I did for a second, 10 of them, go, what happened? I forgot. It came back. It took a second, but I got there. And, you know, OU had a losing SEC record. They were preseason 14 before it all started. Picked 14th out of 16 teams in the league. They went 14-16, got in, went 0-1 in Hoover, and their road to the national championship, regional round Atlanta, beat the ACC champ G-Tech. Super regional, they go to Lawrence, Kansas, and beat the Big 12 champ. Their half of Omaha, the College World Series bracket, was all SEC teams, so they win the mini SEC tournament, win twice against the SEC champion Georgia, and then win the national championship in a best-of-3 against North Carolina. So there's no fluke. There's no accident. They got hot at the right time, but hot is a weekend. Maybe hot's a couple of weeks. They got hot for a month. They didn't get hot. They leveled up and stayed there. The hot's a weekend. I'll give you 2 weeks. You don't do it for a month. They leveled up. The secret to OU and their national championship was this true freshman pitching staff. And instead of getting tired at the end of the year, like the most innings ever, the grind of an SEC schedule, so they were done, is they got through it. They weren't tired. And after going through the SEC schedule, everything else paled. And the developmental process leveled them up so that when the postseason started, they were not true freshman pitchers or freshmen, true freshmen, redshirt. They weren't freshmen. But that was their key. You saw a couple of offensive hitters go on these home run tears. Now, it wasn't a regional or just super, but for a month now, 2 weeks in Omaha, regional super. I wish the name wasn't escaping me, but they have if you took the month of postseason, the one OU player is on a 75 home run pace. But the key is he didn't do it for one weekend. He did it for a month. They leveled up. They caught fire. They got hot, but for a month is different. 13-2. Leave no doubts. Nobody got lucky. It was real. For a team that went 14-16, 0-1 in Hoover, picked 14th preseason. When they went into the postseason, Oklahoma, they had lost 7 of their last 9. Now, on Twitter, X, I saw this. The who doesn't matter, but they want the committee to think deeper because, like, OU got in because their RPI was like 24, and that's always going to get in. But who was the G5 that didn't get in at 28 that everyone screamed bloody murder about? Like when they put in Kentucky and a couple of other teams that got in over them. But if 24 can win the College World Series, then 28, regardless of affiliation, should probably at least get an at-large berth, especially when, historically speaking, sub 42, is it? Always gets in. And it was a definite bias. Because if your RPI is 28, no matter what argument you want to make for not picking them, it's not valid. I kind of agree with the sentiment. That's why the name's not relevant. The point is, if 24 RPI can win the national championship, 28 RPI shouldn't even be a debate in the committee room. Ever. The name, the conference, none of it matters. We need better from the committee, and we need consistency from the committee. And we tend to get neither. But Oklahoma, your national champion. And their story, I dare you to find a bigger dog. We've had some G5s with Coastal Carolina win national champ, but 100 years ago, Oregon State, when they won their first one, if I'm not mistaken, came out of nowhere. And after that, you saw them coming. But this Oklahoma team is storied. Lost 7. After repeated again, lost 7 of their last 9, preseason 14th in the league, losing record in conference, 0-1 in Hoover. And for me, the whole thing about beating all the conference champions, there was no favors on the road. They didn't get lucky. Nobody got upset and they hosted by accident. Congrats. I have, since last week, mentioned my kind of distaste for OU, but I'm not going to discredit what they did. I'm not that kind of hater. I'm not a blind idiot hater. I might be an idiot, but I'm not a blind idiot hater. Congrats to OU. They earned it. They took it. They slugged their way to it. And again, and the pitchers didn't get tired. They just developed and came together at the same time. Now, there's 2 sides to every story, right? North Carolina. If you think Aggies are long-suffering, would you like to be a North Carolina baseball fan? They now, North Carolina has the second most College World Series appearances of any program without a national title. North Carolina has been to 13 Omahas and not won a national title. 13. They have been to the championship series 3 times. So they haven't just went participant. They've gotten to the championship series 3 times now, and they do not have a national championship. 13. So, obviously, last night, this weekend, 2026, OU. And they went back-to-back years in 2006 and 2007 and came up short. You know who they lost to? Oregon State both times. So, North Carolina, their coach after the game was asked about his pitching choices in a 13-2 loss. He explained that going back even to other games, like their ace and the usage of him, and he said, this guy's going to the pros. I'm not going to throw him out there and try and hurt him. He was talking about the moral principles of kind of, these guys threw X and they didn't rest enough, where other managers tell you all hands on deck and they're going to take a guy that threw 200 pitches the night before and go, I just need to see if I can get an out. I give him credit for that, especially the day and age we live in where money is king. You look at salaries. You look at win now or else level. I heard him say that, and I thought to myself, I don't know if he could survive in the SEC, to be fair. But it was admirable. I was kind of like stunned he even said that. It's right. It's just from a world, I don't know that we live in anymore in college athletics. But two sides to every coin. Two sides to every coin. North Carolina, 13, second most Omaha College World Series appearances of any program to not win a national title, 0-3 now in championship series. That's pain and suffering if you're a Tar Heels baseball fan. And their uniforms always look awesome. Now, we are done officially with the college baseball season. We have the final top 25s. I'm going to ask you a question, take a timeout, answer it on the other side. So I've got a pausing to give you a moment to think about this. I mean, if you look it up or you already know and you guess, it's kind of not a guess if you know. So what would be the point of guessing if you already know the answer? Here's the question. Aggie Baseball, where do you think they fit into the final rankings? Aggie Baseball, where do you think they fit into the final rankings? You have 4 minutes to text me if you want to guess or share where you put Aggie Baseball in the final rankings. I'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll answer that question. Where do you think? See, I phrased it in a way that you can say what you think. We don't have to go with anyone else. But still, I've got softball. I got Baseball America. I got The Athletic. Mitch Light, our boy, his final top 25. Where do you think Aggie Baseball fits into the final top 25 polls? Text me now. 979-693-1150. This is the Louis Bellina Show. It is early on a Tuesday on The Zone.
You can get the podcasts of Texans Live, The Louis Bellina Show, or Chip Howard at zone1150.com, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
I asked a question before we took a timeout, and where do you put Aggie Baseball in the final rankings? Where do you think they fit? 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. Jim in Temple did not answer that question, but he said to that 13-2 final score last night, Oklahoma wins game 3, 13-2. Oklahoma, your national champions. And that's 7 straight for the SEC, national champs. And I'm going to throw this in there. In those 7 straight national championships, the SEC was also the runner-up 4 times during that stretch. And that's freaking insane. But that's, again, dominant. Understatement doesn't capture it. That's how elite. That's correct, but still barely captures it. But back to Jim and Temple. Louis, you may recall that in Stoops' first and only national championship title win, early 2000s, the final score was 13-2 over Florida State. I saw it. It was decisive in that OU's defense was so good, the Noles wouldn't have scored if they had played till sunrise. From Jim and Temple. Nice call back, Jim and Temple. Sean on campus. Ags no higher than 15. Ross from east of East Texas, Aggie Baseball number 19. And Ray in South Texas, not sure where they landed, but they belong around number 20. Great season until the last few weeks. Thank you. Anyone else want to weigh in? You got a chance. 979-693-1150. If you don't advance to a super, I don't think you can be in the top 16, personally. Because there's like 8 supers. That leaves 16 teams. I can't put you in the top 16. So A&M then goes 17, 18, 19, 20, if you want to. For me, the Louis Bellina rankings, which people wait with anticipation and bated breath for that. They lose sleep till I put my polls out. And when you're hosting and you don't advance, I can't go top 16. I'm sorry. That's hardcore work. Shannon Caldwell says, I rank A&M at 10 in the final ranking for the season. Body of work. I'll be honest with you. I think the postseason's weighted more. It's the best of the best. It determines the national champion. And it overwrites everything. I don't know if that's fair, Shannon. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if it's the fairest way, but I think it's the reality. I think Aggie baseball is going to suffer from exactly what Aggie football suffers from, and it's the ending. One weekend for Aggie baseball is kind of wiping out the memories of what was accomplished. Because think about this for Aggie baseball. OU was preseason 14, won the national championship. That's pretty freaking epic. Aggie Baseball was preseason pick 13th, and they did end up hosting, and they did finish as a top 20 team, somewhere in there. That was a great bounce back from last year with a disappointing ending, but a great bounce back. Absolutely. But you host, I want to say especially if you're Texas A&M, but it's really true of any school. You host, you advance. You don't host, you failed. I don't care who you are. You host in a regional, you advance. If you host and you can't win your own regional, you failed. It's binary. I don't think there's exceptions, exemptions, and things that mitigate that statement, you know? So, let's see. Logan and Burton. Lou, then how do you explain Little Rock and South Alabama being in a regional? They aren't a top 16 team. I don't understand the question. They were in a regional. That doesn't make you a top 16 team. It's South Alabama. I mean, are you talking about like Little Rock playing Troy? South Alabama didn't advance to Super. That question's a little, maybe I'm missing something in there. Shannon goes on to say, where do you rank UCLA and G-Tech? Okay, see, that's where your body of work statement, both of those have championship on their title. So I can give them bonus points. I can put them inside that top 16, despite their failure to advance. They have champions in their title. That's, again, that sub-single-digit % exemption. Because I don't speak in altruism. I know data points change things. There are exceptions to almost everything, but champions, and there's only 4 of them in the P world, right? And both the teams you mentioned are champions. They have a body of work. Finishing third is nice, but you're not a champion. They didn't win the SEC tournament championship. If you want to talk about A&M's body of work, the way they finished at the end, it's just like a selection committee in last 10, things like that. A&M's body of work is nice. It's not elite. A&M was a improvement from a year ago, but their body of work. So, but UCLA and Georgia Tech, UCLA was the number 1 team in the country until they were not. They were, they won both the tournament and the regular season. So those are teams that champion in the title. They get points. Now, the top 25 final polls, right? Where do you put A&M? I know that Baseball America put them 18. Mitch Light put them 15. So that's that zip code range again. I can't put them in the top 16. 17, 18, 19, 20. I would not argue or fight anyone over any number in there. 17, 18, 19, 20. I found some fascinating final polls. Baseball America put Troy at 6. And Mitch put them at 8. And they were not ranked entering the postseason. Hell of a finish, right? Troy went from not ranked to 6 and 8. UCLA. Where do you put UCLA? Well, Baseball America put them from 1 to 14. Almost pushed them outside the top 16 with their one weekend performance. They dropped 14 spots. They almost went outside the top 16, kind of the way I look at it. Mitch put them at 10. But I like that 14, almost out of the top 16. If you don't advance out of a regional, okay, it's hard, so hard to be a top 16 team. And you're hosting. Remember that too. You have every advantage, man, when you host a regional. Your dugout, your showers, your bed, your everything. Other final top 25 items of note. West Virginia at 4, bumped up from 10. Ole Miss, 21. And Ole Miss ends up finishing 7, according to The Athletic. 8, according to Baseball America. Any other teams of note? USC, who advanced out of the College Station Regional. They were 20 in the athletic, finished 14. And they were like 20-something Baseball America. They finished 11. 11 in Baseball America. A lot of respect there. As well it should. 14 and 11 for USC, who advanced out of the College Station Regional. And those are the things that, Mitch had A&M 7 going into the postseason, finished them at 15. Baseball America had A&M in their final at 18. So, again, you can text if you want to weigh in. Where do you put Aggie Baseball in your final top 25? I can't do top 16. So 17, 18, 19, any number in there. And so far, we have 10, 15. Again, 15 and 19 seems to be a zip code, with 10 being a little bit of the outlier. It was a good year. It was a step forward year. The pitching staff was so bad that now that it's over, I still don't know how good they really were or they really were not. And the offense was an Omaha offense that was so banged up towards the end, they couldn't carry anymore. Because that's what happened. That was an Omaha offense. But it was banged up down the stretch. And definitely in the they were banged up. Guys playing like on one leg. You had Hercopian and Pertita both were banged up at the stretch. And the pitching staff had zero chance to compensate for that. You had exactly no weekend starters. Weston Moss was, but he's also a guy that lost his spot on the weekends. And then he got back in because they had no choice. And you got these occasional gems, masterful starts, and then you got a start he couldn't go 2 innings. So I know Moss technically qualified as a weekend starter, but again, you could get a gem, and you did. Against Texas State? At this point, man, it's blanking. It's faded so in the past. But you got a gem from him in the regional, but you could also get 2 innings. Ozden Bryan says, I have early at 1 for the hot seat. Well, what's the scale? Is 1 bad or good? I'm not sure. Because normally isn't the higher number bad? So you got to explain what your scale is for me. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just not sure your scale. So is like 1 close to 0, not at all? Or is 1 like a ghost death pepper found in the desert? I'm not sure which one. Because I don't think Early's on any hot seat of any kind. With, of course, if he misses the postseason, he'd be fired. But I think that's true for most A&M baseball coaches. It's not an early thing. But I don't think he's on a hot seat. In year 3, you're an A&M baseball coach. Your name is not relevant, but a year 3 A&M baseball coach that misses the postseason should be fired most likely. I'm sure if you look through history, there's probably exceptions because we've had different kinds of ADs. We've had different kind of ADs who, well, if you give them 7, 8 years, it'll work out. We've had those ADs, but my feeling, a year 3 A&M baseball coach that doesn't make the postseason, unless, see, I told you there's exceptions kind of to everything. Well, unless with 2 weeks to go, half the team goes on the IL, sure, there's mitigating circumstances. But Aggie baseball, in my opinion, I guess I'll restate my base philosophy. Aggie baseball should be a top 10 program. Aggie baseball should host a regional 4 out of 4 years. A&M baseball should be hosting a super 2 out of 4 years. A&M baseball should be in Omaha 2 out of 4 years. That's what I believe the level of the program is. So missing the postseason should be 0 out of 10. If there's a struggle bus year, you go be a 2 seed somewhere. That's the minimum for Aggie baseball. The struggle bus year is a 2 seed somewhere. That's the worst case scenario. You miss the postseason, you should be being the head coach at A&M. And there's mitigating. Early missed it, year one, transition year, learning coach. I'll be back. It is the Louie Bellina Show inside the Charles Schwab studio, Tuesday, right here on The Zone.
Blending Southern culture with college football.
You guys are awesome.
Music, sport commentary, and more. It's Marty and McGee.
Marty and McGee.
Saturday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Aggie Baseball. Why? Final top 25. Where would you put them? And, well, the thoughts that are flowing from there. I got a text back from Oz and Brian. I'm looking at the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox, and he said that he had early at a 1 for the hot seat. Now, I didn't know the scale. And for him, he said 1 is most likely to be fired. I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I think he's on a normal hot seat where he has to make the postseason or he would be fired. But that would be true of any A&M baseball coach in year 3, or it should be anyway. Is his hot seat warmer than a norm? I don't know. He went and got Enright. He went and got Nolan Cain. He's making all these moves. He just has to win. I think it's just a normal seat. If you don't win, you get fired. If he wins, there is no hot seat. Like, I don't think there's a sliding scale of heat like because of X or Y. Because last year was a big step forward from the year before. The next year, he needs to keep moving forward. It's a normal seat to me. Like this upcoming year, and the funny part is the regular season doesn't matter. They need to advance out of a regional and be in a super, and if he does that, there is no seat of any kind. That's how I view it. I don't see a hot seat, a cold seat. I don't see a bean chair. I don't see anything. And if he does not, the trickiest question would be if they go to a regional and do not advance, hosting or not. That would be the trickiest seat of them all. Then, okay, the program did not move forward with these hires and another recruiting class plus portal. That's the question mark scenario. So I don't know how hot the seat is. He just needs to win, but that should be true every year for every A&M baseball coach. Anyway, 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. I want to stay diamond. Rangers last night got the dub 4-3 over the Miami Marlins. They're still the Florida Marlins to me, but I don't care enough about them to think too much about that. They went with a closer, Alexander, threw a scoreless first. Kumar Rocker then takes over, who was a starter but can't throw the first inning. I've never understood it. Analytics says it can work for certain starters, and Kumar's had an opener for 2 straight starts and been better. Matter of fact, yesterday he went 5 innings, struck out 9, only gave up 2 runs, didn't walk anyone. He was good. He was good. The story to me has been the closers, or Jacob Latz. He was a starter at the beginning of the year. They put him in the pen, multi-inning closer, 30 years old too, kind of late to be switching, but hey, roll the dice. Do you know he has 29 appearances, 25 have been scoreless. He has a scoreless streak now of 12 straight innings, 12 straight frames. Through 37, ERA is 1.46. And his strikeout to walk rate, 38 Ks to 8 walks. Converted 14 of his 16 save chances. So he's basically been brilliant. I look at the Astros now that Hader's back. Isn't it a completely different world where the end of the game is low stress, no stress? You actually are dying to get to that point versus the dread and the fear. And I also believe it's not just the fans that start to get the knot in their stomach. I believe it's the teammates. I believe it's the manager. I believe it infects the whole team when you don't have the lockdown closer. Oh no, here we go again. And the Rangers found it in Latz, who was, again, a starter to begin the year. Now you have a multi-inning closer if need be, who's been nothing short of brilliant. Duran, yard. hit a 6th homer of the year. Nemo was perfect on the night, 3 for 3 at the plate. Rangers win. They play again tonight. Quantrill getting the start. I didn't even know Quantrill's still alive. Astros not as lucky in Toronto. I caught a lot of this game. It was a very frustrating Astros game. They lose 4-2. Hunter Brown has to leave after 3. Very poor control night. High pitch counts. It comes up in 3 innings, 2 walks, but he also beaned 2 guys, gave up 4 hits. Traffic all night long. Blue ball comes in, and he gave up a run, but he could have gave up like 8 runs, but he kept getting double plays. And only 3 innings of Hunter Brown turns it into a bullpen game. And the Astros don't have much of a bullpen, and the bullpen they have has been stretched out too thin, and the bullpen kind of bled to death. So blue ball has traffic. He only goes 2 innings, gives up a run, and he just had traffic both innings. De Los Santos leaks a run. They called up Logan Vanaway before the game because, Brian Abreu went on personal leave. He leaks a run. And that's how they lose 4-2. You know who had the pinch hit to drive in the go-ahead run? Former Astro Miles Straw for the Blue Jays. I say frustrating. Watching Hunter Brown only go 3. His pitch count was 85 through 3. And the Astros don't have him on a pinch count. He's past that now in his return from the IL. But it wasn't happening. He wasn't feeling it. There's no point. I get it. But you're going to get 6 innings from the Astros pen, not without somebody blowing up. No one blew up. They just bled to death. Some concern now for De Los Santos. Remember his debut? He got off to the great start. Well, in his last 6 1/3 innings, he's given up 7 runs, and his ERA has ballooned to 4.3, which for most relievers, if you give up 7 in your last 6, your ERA is like 6 or 7 itself. He got off to a brilliant start, but bleeding. He can't get a clean appearance now for De Los Santos, who took the loss. At the plate, the Astros only had 5 hits, and they went against Dylan Cease, who didn't have his best stuff. But the Astros could never get that breakout hit. You had Yanni or Diaz up, bases loaded in and out, double play. Late in the game, key moment, Christian Walker, double play. Very frustrating. And you look at the Astros offense, and maybe you don't, but I do. Christian Walker having an amazing season. 238 average. Isaac Paredes starting to warm up. 247 average. Altuve, 236 average. Yanier Diaz, not a lost season yet, but it's feeling it. 237. Loperfido, Astros outfield is nightmare levels offensively. 229. Jake Myers, 205. And the hits just keep on coming. Mentioned Hunter Brown left after 3, just due to pitch count. And it wasn't feeling it. Jeremy Pena left the game, at least after the game. They just said he had cramping in his right hammy. Fingers crossed, thoughts and prayers. Please just be a hammy. But he had to leave the game. That was in the 6th. Rough game. It was just game 1. By the way, programming service announcement. The Astros in Toronto play a very odd day baseball game today. 2:35 pregame, 3:05 first pitch. And you can hear that game right here on the Zone, 11:50 a.m. and 93.7 FM, thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. And you might be asking yourself, why? I can answer that. World Cup game in Toronto. So they had to schedule this game daytime, 4 o'clock Eastern, which I guess is Toronto time, because of World Cup. That's in Toronto? Because all 3 games were originally scheduled to be the normal, I guess it's 7 o'clock Eastern. Nope, today. But you'll Astros Day Baseball here on the Zone, thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. So Astros lose 3.5 back of Seattle in the AL West. A's, Rangers, 1.5 back. Astros, 3.5 games back in the Central. Now, before we take a timeout, take a break, step aside, all the things you've heard before. CBS Sports, MLB Power Rankings. Rangers 19. Astros, who are buyers, ? 23. America's team, the most beloved team in baseball, fly the W flag. Chicago Cubs are seeping in mediocrity at 14. Top 5 teams in MLB, you could get them. I wouldn't even have to give you more than 2 guesses, but Dodgers 1, Braves 2, Brewers 3, Yankees 4. Maybe okay. Maybe 5 would be a little trickier. That's fair. Tampa Bay is at 5. And the bottom 3 teams, Angels 28, Giants 29, and the Rockies 30. If the Angels, the Los Angeles Angels, continue at this rate of improvement, because they've been 30 for so long, I think they could contend by 2058. So I look at the Angels and the process they're using, you could just see the future for them. When we return, I got to wrap up our first hour together. This is the Louie Bellina Show on a Tuesday from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Support, if you look for Mark Sim, if you decide Charles Schwab, heck yeah. Support comes from the combination of the two. You get that local, someone who's only thinking of you. You're their only concern. You're not one of 1 million. You're not on hold for an hour. With Mark Sim, you walk into the office, you look him in the eye, you shake a hand. And when you have Charles Schwab on your side, you get that modern approach to wealth management. But also, when your needs change with time in ways you haven't even imagined, with Charles Schwab, they got the flexibility. They got all that experience that they've been there, done that. They're ready. You don't have to do the stress part. They've got you back. Learn more at schwab.com/College Station.
Can't reach your radio? Listen to Aggie Football online at radioaggieland.com.
Want to enter the lifestyles portion of the Louie Bellina Show. Summertime and travel. Not sure if you're flying, you're doing the roadie, do you have the RV, family camper, not sure what version of the universe you do, but travel, if I was trying to list my favorite things in life, it kind of day to day would change, but I love traveling. One of my favorite things in the world is meeting someone I haven't met before, seeing a view I haven't seen before. Everything about traveling is eating at a restaurant, not a chain, I've never ate before. So travel scratches so many itches I love, and I've been blessed enough to get to travel in my life. I came across a report that analyzed the 20 busiest airports in the U.S. And then they ranked them based on how stressful they are. I love that word, stressful. Not best and worst, and handling your luggage, checking in and out, which of course do factor into the word stressful. Because that's the one thing about airports. They're stressful. They're loud. The people working on them tend to be drones and they don't care. You are not a person to them. It's just another day in their world. Now, what they use, here's the factors for the word stress. Delays, parking costs, how to travel between the airport and the city center, real life things. Someday maybe I'll do a Louie Bellina show, and from the start, all 2 to 3 hours, I'll tell you, we're just going to talk about airport nightmares. I've got stories that will keep you up at night from airports, from almost bleeding to death, to having lightning strike the airport in Pittsburgh, having my wallet stolen in Miami. But that's not this. This is the list of the most stressful. Number 1, O'Hare in Chicago. I've been to all these airports, but O'Hare in Chicago is 1. LaGuardia in New York is 2. JFK in New York is 3. Newark, just outside of New York, is 4. And Denver International is 5. Those are the most stressful airports ever. I kind of wondered if Hobby might be on it, but none of our Texas airports made them. The Austin airport used to be phenomenal, like epic. I used to make sure to go through there every chance I could. Has changed a lot for a while now, and I try not to use it anymore. I can't explain it, but it changed. You changed, man. You changed. The Denver International Airport, if you've never went before, I'm pretty sure is a secret government base under it. Because once you get in, you take these tubes and you go under. You don't even know if you're still in the United States by the time you start getting down to your gate. And that's why I think it sets the tone for stress before anything happens. Nothing has to happen, and you're already weirded out to a certain degree when you go to the Denver International Airport. Not surprised it doesn't rank higher, but you feel like you have left planet Earth maybe. But I know that they have buried things underneath with the airport. It is not natural at all at the Denver International Airport. And O'Hare in Chicago, I can't argue with that. It's hard to explain, but it's so massive that you feel like you're going across 3 different countries. I'll be back with Joe Sheehan.
Your home for Texans Live, the Louis Bellina Show, and Chip Howard Sports Talk is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Listen on the Zone app or online at radioaggieland.com or tell Alexa, play Zone 1150.
Play Zone 1150.
Listen live on your phone, smart speaker, computer, or the Zone app. Powered by Loyalty Plumbing, where craftsmanship and loyalty is their business. Visit loyaltyplumbingllc.net. Take the Zone and your favorite teams and shows with you wherever you go.